Sinners is the best movie of the year, maybe even the last 5 years, so I'm not going to give you just a regular review. We're going to dig into it. There will be spoilers. Oppressed groups of people have always had music to turn to, a way of feeling free of worries for just a few hours. Music itself transcends and evolves generations. Music connects us and helps us work through and release our trauma. And it also brings people together who have experienced the same things. And that's what we see happening at the juke joint. Until nightfall, and this group of vampires comes in and wants to take it for their own. They want to take their culture, their stories, and their joy, make it a watered-down version of what it once was. Throughout the movie, we see vultures several times in association with Remick and the vampires, which was likely a reference to culture vultures. Throughout history, we've seen white people try to take over and claim credit for things that Black people have created, and this was a horrific representation of that. But it was also purposeful that they chose to make the head vampire an Irish man. The Irish have a history of oppression, colonization, and famine. Remick explains the way that their land was taken, religion was thrust upon them, but it was all really a cover for people gaining power, money, land, and taking over what wasn't theirs. Remick also represents white saviorism. He warns them that the other white men were planning to come and kill them all, and claims to be saving them and bringing them into this new life where they can live peacefully. But he's using their mutual understanding of oppression against them. This new life means erasing their individuality and culture, watering themselves down, and participating in his culture and traditions to fit in. We literally see them all singing and dancing to this Irish music. It's still about a white man gaining control and power in the end, and taking something that he has no right to. Let's talk about Mary. She straddled the lines between cultures, wanting to fit in with the Black community, but knowing that she had white privilege from being passing. Because of this, she got bold and figured that she would be able to talk to the group of musicians and get money out of them. She thought that she could bridge this gap, but she ultimately put them in danger and became a spark for their trauma. In the character of the wife, we see someone who also belongs to an oppressed group. Women in this time period were lacking rights and freedom, and although she was warned by another marginalized group, the Native Americans, she followed her husband's orders and bowed to the patriarchy, sealing her fate for herself and others. Smoke and Stack symbolize two different sides. I wouldn't necessarily say good and bad, but they approached life very differently. Smoke wears blue, and I read that this could symbolize spirituality, and that the color is used to ward off evil and hoodoo, whereas Stack wears red, which is typically representative of desires. They're just such different characters, I forgot that they were both Michael B. Jordan, to be honest. Before opening the juke joint, Stack is running around town recruiting the best people he can to make the business a success. We also see him quickly turning to violence when needed. He's all about survival and success, which makes their fates even more interesting. He's willing to be a vampire if it means survival. While Stack is running around town, Smoke is visiting his baby's grave and reuniting with the love of his life. Annie is this grounding force of spirituality, and she's the reason that any of them made it out alive, to be honest. Smoke and Stack also seem to represent the devil and the angel on Sammy's shoulders, and the different directions that he was being pulled in. Stack wanted to use Sammy's musical talents to make money. Smoke urged him to go home and be safe, even if that meant sacrificing his passion. I also found the scene where Smoke is reunited with Annie and their baby super interesting. She tells him to put out a cigarette and says don't get smoke on the baby. While this could literally mean cigarette smoke, she calls him by his real name and is insinuating that he shouldn't pass the bad parts of himself down to his child. This is symbolizing generational trauma. We saw that his father was abusive and passed this trauma down to him, but these cycles can be broken. It just takes one person. When Sammy's at the hands of Remick, he begins to recite the Lord's Prayer. Remick and the other vampires begin saying it with him. Remick explains that religion is not always what it appears to be. The men who stole his father's land forced this religion upon him, just as it was forced upon Sammy, and as a whole, all colonized people. Sammy chooses music and freedom. He rejects religious and societal structures that have enforced guilt and control, seeking a personal freedom for himself instead. And in that mid-credit scene, Stack and Sammy reflect on their time at the juke joint as the most free they've ever felt. For Sammy and Stack, it was a brief but profound moment where they truly felt in control of their own lives and destinies. Throughout history, places like this have been so important to marginalized groups, and we still see that today. Everybody needs a place where they can just let loose and feel safe. I feel like even with everything I just said, this is only skimming the surface of what this movie means. Let me know anything else you guys picked up on, and I'd love to discuss more in the comments.